Just in time. Good morning. Welcome to the Mesa City Council study session for June 4th. I am your host, Vice Mayor Scott Summers. Mayor Freeman is online. Mayor Freeman, can you hear us?
Loud and clear, sir.
Excellent. And Councilmember Heredia?
Yes, thank you.
All right. And most of the rest of council's here. Councilmember Adams is supposed to be here. I think he's just running a few minutes late, so we'll note when he walks in. Item number 1 is to review the agenda for the June 8th, 2026 City Council meeting. And I'll note that our study session today, items 5A and 5E, I believe will be part of the study session. So we can skip over that for now because we'll handle that. So other than 2 pages of liquor license, seriously, anybody have anything they want to discuss?
Vice Mayor, I know Councilmember Goforth had asked about item 4C on for solid waste, and Sherry Collins is prepared to come up and talk a little bit about the new camera systems that they'd like to procure for our drivers. So, Sherry.
Good morning. Let me see if I can do this.
Very good. Did I see 4 slides?
Yeah.
Oh, you were employee of the month.
I'll take it. Good morning, Vice Mayor, council members, and the mayor on the phone, and Councilmember Heredia on the phone, online. My name is Sherry Collins. I'm the Solid Waste Director, and I'm here just to give you a brief overview of the what we're proposing to purchase. What we're proposing to purchase is to upgrade our current external facing cameras on our solid waste vehicles. The cameras that we currently have on our trucks are between 6 and 10 years old. There's been a few conversations recently about how technology gets old after, about 5 years. And so the cameras that we currently have on our trucks some of them are reaching the 10-year mark. So with these new cameras, we do get some advanced features. So what we get for these external facing cameras are advanced safety features for pedestrian collision warnings and blind spot detection. This is going to give us comprehensive vehicle coverage. We have between 5 and 7 cameras on our vehicles, depending on the truck type. We have multiple truck types, so it just depends on the truck type how many cameras we put on them. It's actually going to give us high-definition video, which provides really clear footage of incident investigations. It's night and day from what we have now. At the very end, I have a slide that shows a difference in quality. And this is going to provide our drivers with real-time in-the-cab safety assistance. So just to go a little bit further in what our current system provides versus what our proposed system will provide. Our current system requires physical access to the vehicles for video retrieval, so the truck actually has to be stopped in the yard. These trucks work 6 days a week, 10-hour shifts at least. And so to get them in the yard, there's a really small window, really early in the morning, late at night, or on Sundays. And so we have to physically have those trucks in the yard to retrieve the hard drives. This new system provides a really nice cloud-based system where we can access everything from our desktop. The hard drive removal, again, takes time. We'll have stacks of them where we have to download the video and then get them back in the truck. IT actually had to create a specialized laptop just so that we could actually go and troubleshoot these old systems. And so that, again, the technology is becoming outdated. But these new ones are pretty nice. We have remote video retrieval and system management, so we won't need that specialized laptop any longer. And then again, as I mentioned before, we have aging hardware, so those cameras are 6 to 10 years old. The new ones have modern platform and then continuous software enhancements because they are cloud-based and we can do everything from the desktop. With the ones we have right now, we have frequent hard drive failures and potential data loss, but with the new ones, we have the cloud storage with simple video preservation. We do have limited troubleshooting capabilities with the ones that we currently have. With the new ones, we'll have remote diagnostic calibration and support, so that'll be nice. And one of the other really nice features is the AI feature in the new systems. The current ones, we don't have any AI safety features, but the new ones will have AI safety features and coaching tools. So just to give you, on this last slide here, just an idea of what the quality difference is. I just took a couple frames from each system. And on the left-hand side, you'll see just how cloudy it is and how hard it is to really see what's going on. We do our best with it, and they are extremely beneficial. But the new ones just have really nice high-definition, clear images that'll make it a lot easier for us to do incident investigations.
Sherry, why don't you also explain to council, you told me a good example of some of the safety features and the immediate feedback it gives to our drivers and how you've seen a major
You're
decrease.
getting ahead of us. We were like, what's an AI safety
Yeah.
feature? Well, it's only 4 slides. We'll let her get through it. So what's an AI safety feature?
Okay, so the cameras that we have, the ones on the external, we have internal and external cameras on our trucks. So the external cameras, the AI safety features is pedestrian warnings. It will show the drivers have screens in their trucks, and it'll show all the angles of the cameras. And so it'll give them pedestrian warnings to where if the pedestrian or there's an obstruction on the side coming up, it will show them on the screen, it will show them the pedestrian. So if somebody's on a scooter, which is a pretty big danger for us, it will actually start flashing and it'll go yellow, red, and it'll start beeping really loud. And so that they're aware that that scooter is on the side. And it's pretty neat. These are not, it's literally night and day between the image of what we have, between the quality of what we have now. And our trucks, you know, we don't replace our trucks every year. We keep our trucks up to 10, some are even 13 years old, and they're very expensive. Well, our personal vehicles have all these safety features. And so with the system that we're implementing, it makes it really nice because it's not proprietary to the type of truck. So they're plug and play with each type of truck we get. So it's not like we have to go out and replace the truck to get the new feature. It's just these cameras that we have to replace because they have all the features in them. The in-cab cameras that we currently have, there are 2 cameras in the cab right now with this new technology. So we're really upgrading the external ones to meet the internal safety features that we already have. Those are really nice. The AI safety features they have are for driving events. So it'll be harsh braking, harsh turning. It'll be not wearing your seatbelt. So it'll tell the driver wear your seatbelt. It'll also tell the driver that increased following distance, so it measures that as well. And the other day, we actually got our first alert with somebody following too close behind. And you know how that is in our regular vehicles when someone's following too close behind and you can't see them, and it's a danger. So we actually got our first one the other day because we have rear-facing cameras as well, and it actually told us, you know, hey, someone's following too close behind you, like. I don't know exactly what it said, but it did alert us in the cab. So those are some of the AI features that we have in there, and then just adding this pedestrian one just elevates that a little bit more. And then the other part of it, I think you wanted me to tell them was when we installed these cameras, you know, we want to get buy-in, so we install the cameras. So then when we installed the cameras, we had a lot of safety alerts. I don't want to alarm you, but, you know, it's a new technology, right? So now we're starting to know, and we had, we turned them on, we put the cameras in, and then we turned on the audible alarms. And so when we turned on the audible alarms in those in-cab cameras that we have, when we turned those on, the amount of alerts that we got reduced by 50%. So they're starting to listen. So as they're alerting them about these driving habits, they're self-correcting. And so we did see a reduction in alerts by over 50%, which was pretty nice.
So just like your car, the truck annoys you enough that you're really
Right.
paying attention, you know, to those little small things and self-correcting. So
Correct.
So it is having an impact on driver safety, which is a positive.
Is that why you don't like driving your wife's Tesla?
Yeah, I know, right? It's excellent.
Councilmember?
Vice Mayor,
Yes, Mayor.
that's exactly the question I was going to ask. Will it reduce safety or increase safety awareness for the drivers and then also preventable accidents? And Sherry, have you done an analysis on how many accidents you have today and then be able to quantify that in the future when these systems implemented? Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Mayor, if I don't answer both your questions, let me know. But yes, it is, actually, we are seeing it is reducing the amount of incidents just by that, you know, the data that we saw that just the alerts have been reduced by 50%. And then what was your second question? Have we done data analysis? I'm sorry. Just the data analysis, we're working on that, doing the data analysis. In the solid waste industry, we have multiple factors with onboarding new employees and training, and then also these AI cameras. But we are actually working with the Office of Innovation and Efficiency as well on this technology that we're getting so that we can start producing some of those reports.
Great. Like to see the outcome of that in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
My question kind of goes along with that. What happened? So this is great. We get all the data, we get all these alerts. Then what do we do? Is there, training? Is there, what happens? What's kind of the next,
Absolutely.
the outcome of all of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have a safety coordinator and a safety technician on solid waste. And so we do take this data to use for training, absolutely. So especially if we see, a high number of alerts on a specific thing, whether it's harsh driving or not wearing your seatbelt, we definitely will train to that. And then even the harsh braking events. So we can do one-on-one training, we can do group training if we see stuff. But again, just those audible alerts has really helped us a lot to reduce that.
I think one of the good things, Vice Mayor and Council, is that, as Sherry said, if they can identify that right now, they're working, they're not foregoing any of the things they need to do on training, but they have to get drivers out into the field. And so they put people through an aggressive training program, and then they're out driving. And so, but if they can pick up trends about where maybe the training was lacking, because they're seeing commonality in some of the data or some of the errors that are being made from some of the drivers from that, then they'll be able to reshift their training program or focus more, do more continuing education, whatever it may be, with the drivers based on the commonality of data that they're seeing.
That's great. Are they able to turn the alerts off? Like, when it gets annoying, you just...
No.
Okay.
We actually have the administrators, and so we basically have administrative rights to what we turn on and turn off.
Okay. Great, thanks.
Yeah, no, they can't turn it off.
Right.
Yes.
The subscription is quite costly. What are we gaining through that subscription? I understand cloud storage, but I have a home security system, and I get that this is different. It's an enormous amount of video storage, but I'm thinking about how that is quantitatively very, very high, and what's the quality that we're going to receive as a result of it.
Well, currently, Vice Mayor, Councilmember Taylor, currently what we have is a system called Brigade. And for that system, for, the video that we have and basically the units that we have on lease, we pay $120,000 a year. So just to clarify, the increase in this is just a little less than $30,000 a year. And then the magnitude of the vehicles that we do have 123 vehicles with this. So we get use of the system, constant upgrades, and then of course all those AI features are great. And then it's, like I said, the cloud storage and being able to do everything online and do everything from the desktop.
So our current camera system is about $120,000
Correct.
a year, and it's antiquated, and you have
Correct.
to have this hard drive extraction, and you have to download it on
Correct.
a special computer.
Yes.
Really? That's the qualitative
Yeah,
qualitative
and
problem.
honestly, 6 to 10 years ago, we were so excited to get that system.
Yeah.
And we saw, so much with that system. But then as we started adding in this new technology, again, the easiest way to say it is just night and day.
Right. Do we know how many incidents we have with our not our fire trucks, our garbage trucks a year? Do we even, I never hear about them, which is great, but I'm assuming we don't have a lot?
I have that data. I just don't know it off the top of my head, but we do collect that data, yes.
Okay, I've got no other questions. It was more or less really just the subscription service, understanding, that they're going to basically manage all of that for us. You just have administrative rights
Correct.
to toggle whatever we need to.
Yes.
And what is the cost for, so thanks.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
Thank you.
And I think one thing to keep in mind about that, the cost and such, the safety has to be upmost, because it only takes one accident where we get sued. There's, I think, a current one still in litigation. Yeah, it would pay for a lot of subscription, just one accident and one interface in which the city gets sued.
I was thinking about lawsuits,
Yeah.
like the millions of dollars versus the hundred.
Yeah, and the mayor and vice mayor and council, and the complexity of the conditions that they're driving in is, obviously not just the curbside, pickup that you're thinking of. It's the shopping centers, it's the multifamily complexes, and you think of all the people, pedestrians, interactions, bikers that are all happening as these folks are just trying to do their job and pick up the bins, and yet, you know, these are additional tools that help them have additional eyes and ears as they're out into the field.
Yes.
Fantastic. And thank you for
Okay.
saying scooters and not e-bikes. I really
You're
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Mayor Freeman, do you have any items on the agenda that you would like to have questions for staff? It's always hard to find the mute button. Or Frankie? He just said no. He texted it.
No.
Thanks, Councilmember Heredia, and go ahead.
4D, purchase of solar-powered portable traffic signal trailers for the Transportation Department. I was just curious to know, I know this is a temporary timeframe, but what is the temporary timeframe? Like, how long do we plan on using something like this? Is this something we can lease, or are we just buying it outright? I was just curious.
So, good morning, Vice Mayor, Councilmember Taylor. So, these specific temporary signal trailers are going to go out at the intersection of Higley and Longbow right now. They've started refilling the quarry that's out there, and they're running, I think right now 500 trucks a day, but they said up to 800 to 900 trucks a day. We were made aware of this situation around Christmas time, and we've been working with the quarry owners. They're actually going to pay for part of these trailers. And so we needed to get them out right away. Right now, to design and construct a traffic signal, we're looking at 12 to 18 months. So we're going to initiate a project for that location here next fiscal year. So these will probably be out 12 to 18 months. We are purchasing them because we're finding the need with the growth and construction that's happening, that there are certain locations that we need temporary trailers
So
or
we can just
temporary
reuse it.
signals. So
Yeah.
we'll be reusing them after this at different locations.
I'm just curious to know, did you do a cost analysis to see if it's cheaper for us to buy it and move them around than to lease? I don't even know if you can lease one of these things.
Councilmember Taylor, that's a great question. Yes, by the time we get the use out of them, we will make our money back
Great.
quite a bit. We have 2 temporary trailers. They're out at Val Vista and what will be the Lehigh Shared Use Path right now. We're constructing a tunnel underneath. We originally were going to have those trailers up for 6 months. We're going on 15 months now. So if we had to lease those two, quite a bit more expensive.
Great, thank you. I don't have any other questions. I appreciate it.
So we do, this isn't new. This is something we do. How many trailers do we have?
Councilmember Goforth, this actually is new for us. The 2 trailers that we have out on Val Vista were our first that we have that are a system. We have emergency trailers. We have quite a few emergency trailers that if a pole gets knocked down, we can go out and put up in an emergency, but they don't necessarily reach out across the street far enough to get signal heads up over the lanes that this system does.
So the ones at Val, these are similar to the ones at Val Vista.
They are. They're a little bit bigger. These are a little more expensive because we wanted to get the longer arms so that we could use them on arterial roads like Higley that have multiple lanes.
Okay. But this is not something where you just are going to do for any project or any
No.
ask of,
Correct. This is for situations that we know we're going to put in a signal someday, but we need something out there before we can get that signal constructed.
Yeah, and Eric, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but we appreciate it's the Johnson Stewart company that once have finished the fill that's been going on at the 202 and Alma School, they've now shifted to this location. And so the number of trucks have increased dramatically, as Eric has said, and basically overnight too. And so it's not a situation where we could have waited a year and a half in order to install this, knowing the safety concerns of those large trucks. And 800 to 900, is that what you said, a day or yeah, so a lot of fill going in. So we appreciate them working with us and partnering with us. Like I said, they're going to participate financially in that by the burden that has placed on the system. So we appreciate that partnership with them.
Very good. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other items on the agenda other than 5A or 5E, because we'll address those here in a minute?
I'm going to go right in between them and address 5B.
5 Bravo.
Yes, 5 Bravo. Hi, I saw you back there. I think I know who's going to come answer this question. Can you help me understand, I know in January, the vote was cast to approve the maintenance for the light rail. I think it was like around $15.6 million-ish. Can you help me understand the difference between that and this increased amount of 18.28?
So,
I read the report, but I just thought
right.
layman's terms are a little easier for everyone listening to.
Vice Mayor Summers, Councilmember Taylor. So what we approved in January was the funding agreement for fiscal year '26. We took it later than we normally do because we bring the light rail and the RPT agreements all at the same time to be very transparent about what the costs are and to eliminate any confusion. The agreement we took in January I think it was a net cost of, so that's after and this is where it gets confusing. The bus side, our estimates are net cost. The rail side, our estimates are gross costs. So our gross cost for fiscal year 16, I think, is about $18 million. So after we deduct our fares and different revenue sources, it comes into just a little over 15, almost $16 million. The rail, this year, I think that the gross cost is 21 million, and so after you deduct the fares, it's around 18 million. Part of the reason for some of the increases is Valley Metro on both their budgets, because it's two separate agencies, was very aggressive in addressing budget reductions. They reduced $11.5 million off of their just base administrative by eliminating positions, reducing advertising costs, reducing IT, all of those factors. They limited their budget to just what they call continuing commitments. So in the rail's case, it's the continuing commitment to for the contractor to operate the service. There's a cost associated with that increases each year as part of their contract. And then inflationary or ridership-driven things like fuel for some of the equipment and different things like that. The other added element to this, which increased some of the rail cost, is we're in a transition period between Proposition 400 and Proposition 479, which that is the regional transportation sales tax. And Prop 479 was approved by the voters in November of 2024. And while the freeway and streets program pretty much remained the same, the transit program has some pretty significant changes to the structures of those programs. So there were things that Prop 400 used to fund on behalf of the rail system that Prop 479 does not fund. And two examples of those are what Valley Metro calls future project development, which added about $1 million to our budget. And if I can just back up a minute, the overall rail budget is divided amongst the 3 rail cities based on the percentage of rail that's operated in the city. So in Mesa, that's about a little over 16%. So future project development includes things when Valley Metro goes to seek grants. Much like our engineering department charges administrative time to a project, they need to be able to charge their administrative time somewhere. So that funds that element. It funds, if we have a developer come in to develop one of the park and rides, they have to have staff time to work with the cities to be able to redevelop that. And an example of that happened in Tempe at Cul-de-sac. When that was going in, Valley Metro was very involved with that because they had to add an extra. That particular station in front of cul-de-sac only had one entrance point, so they had to design and construct an entrance point for that. So that is what that features in. The other part is called system-wide improvements. So that would be things like Valley Metro last year did a SEPT-head review of all of its facilities.
Acronym Patrol, SEPTED.
SEPTED?
You want to say what that is?
What does it mean?
Oh, now I'm going to.
Crime prevention through environmental design.
Yes. So in Mesa, one of the SEPTED findings was at our light rail stations, for example, at Alma School, they have a 3-foot wall on the ramp going up to the station that was recommended. Those kind of walls were recommended to be demoed and replaced with a wrought iron gate so you can see all the way through. So those are the kinds of things that would fall under, or projects to do with travel time improvement. Those would things that would fall under system-wide improvements. Now, when we put in the budget, it was a higher number. So during the course of the budget season, we were able to reduce that number. I think it was an additional. It was higher. It was a higher number. So we're down to. We've cut that number almost in half from what it was kind of originally. The additional cost was.
Looks like Channel 11 pulled up the slides if you want to.
Yeah, I have.
Oh, great.
Just to kind of go through, I've kind of already talked about the timing. The RPTA agreement, just backing up on the bus side, it's a $41.1 million worth of service, and it funds 20 bus routes and our paratransit and ride choice programs, which are for our ADA certified residents throughout the city. Most of the funding, 38.8 million of the RPTA agreement comes from Proposition 400 and 479. 5.5 million would come from the city's local funds, and that funds 4 bus routes, and those are 4 bus routes that are not currently eligible for funding under Prop 400, because we're in this transition period from 400 to 479. And so overall, this is a $2.4 million increase over. And if I can just go back to something that was commented on Monday night about the bus network redesign program. We are in this transition period, and one of the things, Prop 479 puts an emphasis for additional funding and an emphasis on funding on productivity and putting productive routes on the streets. And a big part of starting with that is Valley Metro is doing a bus network redesign project to look at where are those most productive routes and where are the best areas to invest these regional dollars. That study's taking a little bit longer, but we're working through that, and hopefully this fall we'll be ready to go out to the community with recommendations for what came out of that study.
But specific to this one, back to the light rail, the January vote was for 2026.
Right.
This net impact to our general fund of $18.28 million is for 2027?
2027, yes.
Just, thank you, Vice Mayor. Just for clarification, the slide we're looking at right now is 5C, correct?
5B.
don't see
No,
the-
5C, I'm sorry.
So, but I thought the question was on 5B.
Right. We had already had, I
Okay.
put together this presentation.
Understood.
And put it in order. Usually, it's the bus first. Over the years,
Gotcha.
it's just got
Okay.
just
I just
got
want to
backwards.
make sure I'm tracking.
No, I'm
right
not
here.
trying to confuse anybody.
Okay, no, I enter the room that way, so don't worry about it. Okay, so I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right thing. So that previous slide was 5C.
C, right. So this next slide is for 5B,
Thank
which
you.
is what's in the budget is $21.1 million because we pay the gross cost. And then we get reimbursed revenues from fares, advertising, preventative maintenance, Arizona lottery funds that comes to us that we offset. And it kind of goes through the net cost. In the end, the net cost should be $18.3 million. It includes $1 million for future project development and $300,000 for system-wide improvements, which are not covered under Prop 479. And this represents a $3.2 million increase over fiscal year 26.
And Vice Mayor and Council, I think one of the things, and I can't remember if we just discussed this in January, and like you said, that normally we don't have them 6 months apart. It was
Right.
because they had major negotiation with
We were-
an operator group, right?
Well, it was because, so every 7 years on the bus side of things, we renegotiate a master funding agreement. And we were negotiating there were contract language that we were kind of at odds with, and so we reached an agreement on that. By the time we reached an agreement and getting it into the council cycle for agendas with Christmas and Thanksgiving, we ended up in January. It was an oddity. It's not how we normally like to
And when
do
you say
things.
we, are you talking
I mean-
about the municipalities,
No, I mean
Mesa?
me. Me and Valley Metro.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this didn't necessarily impact any of the other municipalities'
No.
agreements with that?
No,
This is
they-
okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
they all have their own agreement.
So normally it wouldn't have been voted on in January is what I'm hearing.
Correct.
Yes, it would have been done in July.
Just like,
Yeah.
I know you all enjoy talking about light rail so often, but we usually only try to bring the funding agreements once every 12 months. It was just because we knew that the agreement on the drivers, basically that's such a big cost on the bus side, obviously, is how much the labor side of it is for the people driving the buses, and that's what was under negotiation. We thought it didn't make sense to bring an agreement earlier to council that we knew was going to change and that we were going to have to come back and amend once those negotiations were finished between Valley Metro and the group and the operator. And so that's why we held off on bringing the agreement until mid-year. But now that a 7-year agreement's back in place, we'll be able to get back on our normal 12-month cycle of bringing these agreements forward.
and our line is 5 miles, right?
It's about 5.5 miles.
So that's 3.656 million for every mile that we're spending after everything's deducted, the fares and everything like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I recall a rather robust conversation in January about this issue. Am I recalling correctly, Mr. Smith, you gave us a breakdown. This is more or less an evergreen contract that we entered 20-some years ago. And I think the result of that robust discussion was that if we didn't move forward and approve these things, we would be in default. Am I recalling that correctly? It's basically a contract we're in
Yes,
for time immemorial.
Mayor and council, so there's several agreements, and the short answer to your question is yes. What you stated is correct. The concept you stated is correct. Just so that the public and a reminder to council, there's several agreements. One is the Joint Powers Agreement. That was sort of the foundational document, and it's an intergovernmental agreement, and it's the agreement that the cities agreed to create a separate legal entity, a nonprofit, Metro, and then we joined as a member of Metro, and so and as part of those bylaws, that formation document with Metro. The document contemplates that if you're going to exit that agreement, that you get the agreement of the other parties, and part of that agreement involves getting them to agree to take on our financial obligation. So obviously a significant amendment, and it would require unanimity. It's a supermajority vote, but that effectively becomes unanimity to make that amendment. And failure to pay assessed fees results in a 12% interest fee on top of that they can collect, in addition to all the sort of remedies you can seek under law. The agreements do not limit the remedies. They're able to seek all remedies under law. And so what you said is correct. And so those are the two sort of foundational documents. And then we also have a master agreement, which deals with some more of the specifics on how you figure out the fees and sort of how you calculate everything. But to sort of unwind it, to sort of back out of the agreements involves going back and amending those bylaws. And it really doesn't contemplate the bylaws the way it's written, doesn't contemplate that you'll just stop service, that one city can stop service. I don't think they foresaw this, or maybe it was also to ensure that Tempe, as if Tempe decided not to back out of the agreement. The idea was that, no, you can't just sort of walk away, Tempe. We have to have the light rail go through your city to make it work. So it doesn't contemplate one of the end users sort of just stopping service and how you unwind that. So we'd have to go back and amend the agreement. But as the agreement's right now, the other two parties would have to agree to take on our financial obligation.
That's basically what I recall of the conversation, so thank you. And I was a bit surprised to see it again so soon, but thank you, Mr. Butler. I understand why we are seeing it so soon. So the bottom line is, my understanding is it's a contractual relationship that at the time the various councils felt was the appropriate decision to make, and we've bound ourselves into a very tight agreement that would be very difficult and perhaps very costly to exit.
Mayor and council, I think that is a fair assessment. And it ends up becoming almost this binary decision for council, right? With one being not really a reasonable decision of getting sued and paying the money plus 12%. I'll also point out that there are also audit provisions within the agreements, and so that we can also look for ways to try to save more money. Jody just articulated how Metro has done that internally themselves, but we can also sort of, we're a member of this organization, and so we can also look for ways in which we can try to drive down the costs as opposed to sort of being stuck in this, you pay this amount or you get sued for this amount plus 12%. I just want to offer another alternative of we're a member of this organization. We have audit rights. We can look for other ways to try to drive down these costs.
Well,
thank you.
sorry.
Just a final comment. I'm not trying to start a policy related discussion here on the pros and cons of light rail or rapid transit or whatever. I'm just simply trying to put on the table the issues at hand, the risks and the liabilities involved with any decision that we make here and the obligations that we've entered into. So just to put those issues out there, because they are, in my view, and I think you've reinforced that, they're very binding. So thank you.
And Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, let me just assure you too, there is intense scrutiny that not just Mesa, but the other member cities put on this budget each year. Jody needs a bodyguard sometimes when she goes down to Valley Metro because she questions everything, a lot of oversight. And it's not just her, it's her counterparts in the respective cities that challenge them, just like you challenge us as we sit as board members. Councilmember Heredia in his role serving on the board, Vice Mayor Summers had a stint several years ago on the board, and every council
was bus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It had nothing to do with rail.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right. But we, of the regional agencies, though, we sit in oversight of them in the same way, and so that is the first line of defense: is that we want to make sure that we're getting the best bang for the buck that we can out of these agreements, and then we have that at the staff level and at the elected official level at the board. So we try to do that. The other thing that we should mention, and forgive me if belaboring this because I think we talked about it in January, but the Mesa made the intentional decision years ago that we would start shifting some of our funding, knowing that light rail, at that point, we had not even expanded to Gilbert where we are now. We paid for a lot more of the bus network locally, out of local funds. So knowing that we were going to have to start taking on the burden of light rail cost, we started shifting our bus funds to our regional dollars, drawing down Prop 400 and now Prop 479 dollars. So that's why you see that we get $41 million of service, and it only cost us locally $5 million in order to leverage $41 million of service. What that did, though, was free up the money that we were in the past using for the bus lines, and now we shifted that over to pay for light rail. And it's not a dollar for dollar, but that was to take the burden off, knowing that light rail costs were going to grow, and we couldn't use regional funds to pay for operating cost of light rail, but we could use regional funds to pay for operating costs of bus. So that's a decision council and previous folks had made in order to lessen the burden of what the overall transit impact would be to our local funds.
Councilmember Heredia, I think you have a question.
Well, a comment and a question here, to comment on I've been serving on the Valley Metro Board for years now, and, Mesa is always engaged in the various different committees we established about a year ago or a year and a half ago. Various different committees looking at governance, looking at our budget operations. The CEO comes from a maintenance and operations background out of San Luis. When we hired her a couple years ago, and she's really, I think, helped us focus more on, doing an analysis, how we can save some money, adding the right people, and removing positions that were unnecessary. So I think I wanted to add that piece because Mesa's integrated in all those discussions based on our role as a major city, having bus and light rail service. And so it's been, it's always a challenge. Valley Metro is a big regional network. The city of Phoenix is a major player because they operate some of the most bus operations in the West Valley and in the city of Phoenix, and has to work with Valley Metro together to kind of figure out those operations. So it's definitely not an easy feat, having 19 cities on the board, but it's something that we really honed in on cost savings and looking at operations. And in a question, Jody, we also, I think, some of the costs we did various different surveys, and security was one of the top items, and we changed our security vendor as well. I think early last year, or I forget the timeline, but some of those costs I think also reflect on the addition of doing an RFP and getting a new security vendor that was a lot better than the previous one, I think. And I think we've had some success on retaining people and having more visibility out in the light rail stops. But remind me again, Jody, if that's the timeline there.
Yes, Vice Mayor Summers, Councilmember Heredia. Last May, Valley Metro entered into a new agreement with the new security vendor, and they've stepped up their enforcement. They've stepped up their visibility on the system. As a result, I don't have the number in front of me exactly, but I can get it. They've reduced their security incidents to, I think, like 2 or 3 per 100,000 boardings, which is a pretty impressive stat. Given the perception of security and on the light rail. So they are making great strides, and some of those great strides to increase security does come with some little added increased costs.
All right. Mayor Freeman, did you have something to add?
I do, Vice Mayor. Thank you. Jody, how are we doing looking at efficiencies? I know my first question is about the light rail. It's pretty much a fixed route, and its costs are defined by its maintenance, operation and maintenance, correct?
Yes.
So with that, we do know that light rail has a fixed cost other than the security component. However, the bus routes is another part of it that we participate in. And looking at efficiencies in survey routes and ridership, some of my questions would be, is ridership increasing or decreasing and staying the same on light rail and bus routes to help define which routes are efficient for our community?
Jody, do you want to pull up that?
Yeah. So, Mayor, when it comes to ridership, if I can back up first, Valley Metro, as Councilmember Heredia alluded to, they hired a new CEO. Jessica's been there 4 years now, and she's really put an emphasis on bringing in talented and qualified operations and maintenance people into the system, things we didn't, and they're doing things we didn't have before, as far as things that, scheduling out, balancing out cost increase and state of good repair so it's not a peak and valley type of system, so it's more stabilized. When it comes to ridership, light rail, the stats here, the fiscal year 26 stats are only through April, so we still have more time remaining. Light rail, compared to our peers, is bouncing back more consistent with what's happening in the nation. The bus is not, and that is partially due to a couple things. One is getting back to Prop 479. As we were transitioning from one proposition to the other, we didn't want to invest more into bus service to go through the bus network redesign program that we may have to go back and cut that service. We wanted to, so we haven't made any adjustments to service. And in some ways that it's challenging on the bus because when you're operating a 30-minute frequency on the bus, you get better ridership when you're operating a 15-minute frequency because you don't have to, you just know it's coming every 15 minutes, where when you're out there, you don't know if it's a 30-minute frequency, if it's coming 15 minutes or 25 minutes or 30 minutes. So we expect after we get through the bus network redesign program and implement that, that we should start seeing more increases in ridership and a more efficient system. And the plans right now, the schedule calls to make some of those changes in the October 2027 service change. It takes, and I know it seems like a long way off, it takes a while to go through and do the public comment period, and then all the routes have to go through a Title VI analysis, and then there's more outreach that has to come, and then there's there's just a lot of steps that take into doing this.
Tied up in red tape.
I just also, for the public, just want to clarify too, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I did a little bit of reading through Valley Metro's website, and when we look at ridership, there are sensors that basically scan the passing of a person or an object, I'll say, on and off of the light rails. So we're not looking at new ridership. Like technically the same person could ride the light rail over and over and over again, and it would just be saying, this is a rider, this is a rider. So
it could be
we
a new
don't have a way
person.
to say like we had 2,500,000 riders, and out of those, half of them were new. We don't have a way to like analyze that data. Is that right?
Vice Mayor Summers, Councilmember Taylor, that is true. It's kind of like the same as like you don't really know how many new drivers are necessarily on operating on Main Street.
Yeah.
You can't test that, but we do have, the buses and rail cars do have automatic counters at the doors, and Valley Metro reconciles those counters with the fares and has a formula that they do to get the trip count.
Right. So we're just saying this is the total number of riders though, but we really don't know how many people are actually like being added to it as new riders.
Probably not, but not specifically year from year. Valley Metro does, every 3 years, they do a onboard study, and some of that information comes through that as far as, how long have you been riding Valley Metro? So you can, through a question like that, so you can tell whether they're in like a newish period or a long term.
Okay. Thank you.
And Vice Mayor and Councilmember Taylor, they can use some of this data to really ascertain like who are maybe special event riders versus who are daily commuters that are utilizing it. So like during the NCAA Women's Final Four, light rail had a major uptick during that time with people, parking and riding into Central Phoenix to attend the games that weekend. And so they're able to ascertain that data of seeing, okay, what's different on this weekend? Why did ridership tick up? Why was there a concert? Was there a special event? Was there a major convention going on somewhere along the route? And so they're able to kind of flush out who are the daily commuters, who are the daily people that are utilizing it versus special event riders or weekend riders or whatever the case may be. But it's not down to the person level like you said. So
I don't think we can really keep the benefits of the light rail isolated just to riders as well. The amount of development and successes that have occurred along the light rail lines have been significant. I know for Mesa, we wouldn't have got ASU, we wouldn't have got cul-de-sac, we wouldn't have got over $1 billion of investment in downtown. It's part of the equation of building this area, but it was significant because before light rail, it was very depressed, but that was the start of starting to get the building blocks in order to transform it. So as much as you can, say whatever the ridership is, then we have to also look at transit, especially light rail, as an economic tool and asset. And I want to remind us on our general plan, 2050, it visions a future in which everyone has access to an efficient, safe, and well-connected transportation system, regardless of age, ability, or financial means. So that's our overarching vision of mobility in Mesa. And transit is an important part of being able to provide that to everyone. In addition, we can't ignore how much money we spend on our roads. On the Prop 479 half-cent sales tax, 2/3 of that money goes to our roads and freeways in the system. We have a local sales tax here in Mesa, which is about, I think it's 0.25% we spend on roads. And we receive highway user fund revenues from the federal government for our roads. Eric, do you know what the total of everything we spend on roads is?
Good morning again. So on an annual basis for operations and maintenance of roadways, our department budget is it's $58 million for next year. I think when we gave our budget presentation in March, roughly half comes from the local street sales tax, half comes from HERF. And then we have an additional $30 million that we use, and that's split between HERF and local street sales tax for life cycle projects. Sorry, my mind went blank there for a minute. So I think, from a roadway operation and maintenance standpoint, we're spending about $90 million a year.
And then that doesn't also factor in the public safety. And we have part of our police department that responds, especially if there's an accident, and also has fire as well. So there are costs to any kinds of transit. And so I think we keep to our vision and can keep growing with the vision of being multimodal. It is the way of the future. Thanks.
I appreciate the conversation. Just as a reminder, the item that we are considering is a contract.
Correct.
So we have to decide whether we're going to continue with that contract or if there's a different direction somebody wants to take. But there clearly are obligations that date back nearly 30 years at this point that have to come into consideration for that. Mayor, did you have anything you wanted to add before we move on?
Yeah, just summarize. Thank you, Jody. You're a great asset to the community for your knowledge, so you can't retire anytime soon.
You can't be Employee of the Month either. I already
Amen,
signed
Mayor.
that.
Can you make that a formal motion, and we'll remind Jody of that?
Yes, exactly. Just to summarize, we're looking at efficiencies in all the programming we do. And I know that what I started out with, the light rail is a fixed cost, it's a fixed asset. The bus routes can be managed in different ways based on the survey and ridership. So that's what I'm looking for, is efficiency in the bus routes to help our residents in our community at the lowest cost available. So thank you, Vice Mayor.
Absolutely. Are there any other items on the agenda that?
I just want to make one comment on this one, that my questions were, as you said, to the contract. What's our legal obligation, and what are the legal consequences if we don't fulfill those obligations? And I think that regardless of our philosophy or our thoughts on the light rail system, and none of us were here, I don't think, when we entered into it originally. So, this is about what our contractual obligations are, and if we're going to fulfill them or not. That's the question. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jody, for your time. I appreciate it.
Any other items on the agenda? Going once, going twice? All right, let's move on to item 2A, hear a presentation, discuss and update on the development of the Downtown Restaurant and Food Incubator and the lease agreement with Local First Arizona to operate Main Street Market.
See, food will bring everyone together right now. So,
That and 2 pages of liquor license. So what do you got? How cool is this? Yes, thumbs up?
Good morning, Vice Mayor, council members, and voices from the sky. This morning, Jeff McVeigh, Manager of Urban Transformation. I'm pleased to be here with Kimber Lanning, CEO and founder of Local First Arizona. This has been a number of years coming, and so forgive me, I'm going to take a moment to recognize some hard work from some folks in the audience. You know Jimmy Chiracchio as the Executive Director of DMA, but before that, he was a project manager in the Urban Transformation team, and he was the project manager for this project and took it probably 90% of the way before taking on his new role. I'd also recognize Madison Cox, who picked up the ball and took it to the finish line with the lease. And then Bryce Albrechtson is our engineering project manager. And the coordination of design and construction on this project has been really good. And Bryce has served really well in getting this project as far as it's been. So it has been a while, and some of you were not on council when we started this project, so I'm going to give a brief overview. This is a ARPA-funded project. In 2022, we purchased 111 West Main Street to develop a restaurant and food business incubator, really with the goal of creating resilient small businesses that will support our economy in the future and can stand up against any challenges that may be faced, such as a pandemic. With a real goal long-term goal of growing businesses that we can then attract to stay and start their permanent locations here in Mesa. Throughout this project, we've always had the goal of creating a first floor that has a public food hall that is essentially a training grounds for future restaurateurs. We've also designed the full building to include a basement, which would have additional classroom space, a production kitchen, and additional facilities that would then support the development of food businesses such as caterers or your local salsa maker. As the city's first ever design build contract, we did do developers or contractor selections. 180 Degrees Design Build was our contractor, and they contracted with Holly Street Studios to be our architect. I just wanted to note that this has been a good experience, and that design build as a construction delivery method has proven to be beneficial in cost containment, as well as being able to address issues as we go through construction. One note is the contract did include the final design for the entire building, meaning all the improvements that we had contemplated for the first floor and basement. However, due to just cost of construction issues, the basement will only be constructed out to a warm shell condition, but we will have completed all the mechanical, plumbing, electrical improvements that will allow the build out of the basement in the future. Overall, the contract amount for construction was about $4.5 million. I'm going to take a moment looking at this slide to note that this building has had many lives. This was the original location of Zeno's Co-op, which burnt down long ago, and then was replaced by the current building, which has been grocery stores, it has been a bank, it has been a Catholic bookstore, and when the city bought it, it was well on its way to becoming Salon Suites. I leave this picture up because it was the Wright supermarket that is kind of the architectural design inspiration for the exterior architecture. So just a look at some of the renderings going forward. I put up the current construction photo of the exterior just because I think just by removing the stucco and some of the things that were tacked on, even in construction stage, it looks better than it did before. And so it's got much further to go, but it's going to be a very nice presence on the street. I'm going to let Kimber jump in as she'd like, but this is starting to see how the building is coming along. I will note that construction photo on the right is about a week and a half old, and we're at that stage in construction now where you go in there at any given day and it changes. So we were in there just earlier last week, and the amount of progress from this point is pretty significant.
Huge progress. So Vice Mayor Summers, members of the council, thank you so much for having me. I look forward to continuing our longstanding relationship. I just wanted to jump in on the design work here. We're working in partnership with Holly Street Studios on the interior design of the food hall at this point. The idea is that the permanent infrastructure will take on neutral tones so that each of the individual concepts will be able to bring their own brand. So while this looks, it looks sharp, it also looks muted compared to when we're going to have the signage, the brand, everything that's going to pop out of each one of these booths as you make your way down the food hall. So as you probably have not visited this building, but when you walk in down the left corridor, you're going to have 7 food concepts with a bunch of seating on the right-hand side, and the old bank vault is there, which will provide a private dining area that holds 6 to 8 people for meetings and gathering spaces, things like that. So this additional rendering shows the way you'll be able to sit at the bar at some of the concepts. There's going to be 2 hot concepts with overhead hoods, and then there'll be what we technically in the industry called cold concepts, but that doesn't mean they're serving just cold food. It just means that they're not actually cooking on a grill and needing a hood. So that could be panini sandwiches. It could be, a bagel shop that does sandwiches. There's a variety of things that could go in there in the cold concepts. So there's a variety as you make your way down. It's going to be a great place to bring your family, where if every family member likes a different type of food, there'll be a variety of things in there.
So now that you've got a sense of the physical, well, I guess we should mention that no good modern public food hall would be complete without having the option for an adult beverage. And so this is an image with the bar at the back of the food hall as well. But now that you have a sense of the physical space, we're going to let Kimber tell you about Local First and the program that's going to be behind our public experience.
Fantastic. Thank you. And I want to thank you again for the longstanding partnership we've had with the City of Mesa. For the last 10 years, we've been in the downtown core. I'd like to just let you know that I first moved to Mesa in 1985, and I opened my first business here in 1987. We launched our incubator kitchen at the El Rancho Del Sol property in 2008. That is not just a food incubator, but really it is a model that is standing up, and we are getting inquiries now from around the country about our partnership with the City of Mesa and the work that we're doing there. So out of 2,500 square feet, we are incubating 20 food entrepreneurs, and those could be consumer packaged goods, like a salsa, jelly, a jam. It could be catering companies, it could be food trucks, and it could be people who are aiming toward opening a brick and mortar restaurant. And we've also integrated kids cooking classes, family meal planning and nutrition classes. We have twice a month an actual food pantry where we partner with United Food Bank and make food available to the families who live on site. In addition, we take that and work with the entrepreneurs to help them in the kitchen learn how to work with other people, learn how to partner, learn how to share space, learn how to run quality businesses. Obviously, everybody in there has to be properly licensed. They have to be standing up their LLCs. When we start working with people, often they are still running their business out of their personal accounts. So it's 2 years of incubation, and as they work through that program, they take flight. And I'm really proud to tell you that we have a 78% success rate after 5 years, which for those of you that follow the food industry in any way, that's an outstanding success rate. Generally speaking, more than 50%, significantly more than 50% of particularly brick and mortar restaurants fail. Just a little bit about us. We are the largest local business coalition in the country, and we run multiple business accelerator programs, including Fuerza Local, We Rise. We run a loan readiness boot camp. We found that many of our small businesses don't have the resources they need to properly understand when they walk in for a bank loan, what they're going to need to qualify for that. So we've developed a wide variety of projects and programs, many of them in partnership with your own economic development team, to provide technical assistance to those businesses to make sure that they are successful long term. So next slide. So an incubation program, for those of you that aren't familiar, there's a lot that goes into it. We work with quarterly business consulting and workshops. When you're running a food business, a lot of that work is around food costing. Many of our small businesses, they might be very excited to tell you the most popular item on their menu, but they can rarely tell you what their most profitable item on their menu is. And we work to help them understand profitability, reducing food costs, and thereby reducing food waste as well. If you ever walk into a small restaurant and you see that they have a 17-page menu, I can guarantee you they're not making any money, right? And we try really hard to help them narrow that and be really good at what they do rather than trying to be all things to all people. That's the beauty of this food hall, is they can be really good at that one thing, and yet it will be one space that has many things for many people. We also offer a wide variety of connections to new revenue streams, helping them think about, if they are a brick and mortar, what can they be doing for events? What can they be doing for special catering things that they can do on the side? We offer them a variety of development templates so that they can really better understand their business model and walk away from the 2-year incubation program with a business model that prepares them for this food hall. They have to have come through a program so that they can be prepared for the food hall. So when you're thinking about the food hall, please know that these are going to be people that are well on their way, not people who are just starting. They started our incubator kitchen down the road at the El Rancho, and then they come through that program, land in this food hall for a 2 to 3 year time period before we're working with realtors to keep them right here in Mesa. That is our goal, is to grow businesses that stay right here in Mesa. I want to name that our current incubator kitchen, we offer space in the kitchen at approximately 25% market rate. Again, it's not free. Our goal here is not to subsidize small businesses, but rather to give them a longer runway to make sure that they can be successful in the long term. And they're offered ongoing mentoring and support from business professionals. At Local First Arizona, we also run the Devour Culinary Classic, which is a culinary festival that has won awards from around the country, and we bring in the top chefs that we have to work with our startups as well. Next slide. So I mentioned before, we have a variety of business incubator, business accelerator programs. This is our sweet spot. We believe in our core that entrepreneurship is a pathway to self-sufficiency. We work with family-owned businesses, and we aim for generational wealth so that we can change the trajectory for some of these families. I also want to mention we do a lot in the farm-to-table space. We support local farmers. We are working with our entrepreneurs to source locally. We work with a good number of producers in the Mesa area. We also have a workforce training component for hospitality, working with youth to get them into hospitality and to think about management and other types of professions in the hospitality space. And then I really want to underscore here that when we're working with our small home-based businesses, we strictly adhere to all the cottage industry laws to make sure that our businesses are completely legitimate and registered and following all food safety guidelines. So when they come out of that 2-year incubation program, they are fully equipped and ready to go.
Okay, so to bring this program about, we are proposing a lease with Local First Arizona to operate the restaurant incubator. Initial term of that lease would be 10 years, and upon mutual agreement, there would be the option for 3 5-year renewals for a total term of 25 years. Given that this is a program that is intended to bring benefits to the city through the development of new small businesses, the rent is set at $10,000 per year for the first 10 years, and then with each 5-year renewal, it would go up $5,000 per year. Over the course of the 25 years, that would total around $400,000, which would be held in a separate, held separately so that any landlord costs that the city may have, say building maintenance, if we had to replace an air conditioner or something along that line, that the rent would then pay for to be offsetting those costs. It's also important to note that given the nature of this building, it is essentially a commercial kitchen, public food hall. The O&M responsibilities are typical of a commercial landlord-tenant relationship. So as part of the lease, there are would be obligations of Local First to provide that incubation program. As I noted, we are doing full build out of the first floor, and with the first floor build out, the Local First would have to have a minimum of 5 annual program participants, essentially the food providers at the stalls. There would also be provisions to be able to allow up to 2 mentors. Those would be maybe some more established restaurateurs that would be participating in the development of these small businesses as mentors, but also providing somewhat of an anchor to the restaurant spaces. With the build out, I should go back. The lease includes provisions that will allow Local First. They are leasing the entire building, including the basement. It includes provisions that would allow Local First to build out that basement. And if that basement were to be built out, that would increase the annual participants that would need to go through the incubation program up to 80. As well as additional program classes that can be supported through the classroom space in the basement. If there are any profits, Local First would be required to invest those back into the program development and delivery. And we have also included some provisions on open hours, so that this is a public food hall, so that we do expect it to be available to the public 6 days a week, 8 hours a day. And when it is open, that there's a minimum of 4 vendors operating. Because this is ARPA funding, and we are, as a city, going to have to report back to the federal government, Local First will be required to provide us quarterly reporting on their metrics of delivery of the incubation program.
Jeff, can I?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Vice Mayor. I just wanted to pause for just a second on the basement, on the build out of it. Wouldn't it be less expensive and more beneficial just to look at doing that now instead of later, like we've seen on a lot of projects where we wait until we do it later and it's so much more expensive later? I read in the council report that it would take approximately $650,000 to $1 million, which includes classroom, production, packaging, and marketing space. Can you expand on that? And are there grant opportunities? Things, I'm just looking at maybe maximizing. I think there'd be less disruption to consider that now than later and get that having a return on our investment of this entity.
Vice Mayor,
Sorry, Councilmember Heredia had to sign off.
Vice Mayor, Councilmember Duff. It was a difficult decision when we had to essentially value engineer the full build out of the basement out. The most expensive elements of that basement build, the mechanical, the plumbing, the electrical, that is already done. What you would see in that $650 to $1 million, the majority of that cost really is around the production kitchen. Those are very expensive. But you are accurate in that doing construction in the basement while under construction on the first floor would definitely be a much more efficient way to deliver the basement. If construction has to occur after the first floor's operations, there will be significant disruption, and it will be more costly simply because the cost to remobilize, the cost to work within an environment that's open, it will have a cost to it.
Vice Mayor Summers, Councilmember Duff, I do think from a cost savings perspective, it would be smarter to make the investment at the same time we're under construction. We have the crew on site. They have a deep understanding of the site. We would not need to bring them back at a later date at a much higher rate. What it enables us to do is add necessary classroom space and office space for these businesses for the one-on-one coaching for the incubation and additional classroom space so that we could be teaching on site other business accelerator programs that we have. My advice would be to really consider doing it at the same time as a long-term investment so that you don't have to come back and pay more for it later.
And I should have noted, we did seek an opportunity for a grant this year. The congressionally directed spending opportunities through Economic Development Administration. We applied for $1 million grant. Unfortunately, we were unsuccessful this time around for that. But we will continue, and Kimber and I have been talking on what other grant opportunities are out there, but we definitely are going to continue looking for those grant opportunities.
I have a quick question along that line, if I may. Kimber, you're doing good work in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So the basement, are we talking just classrooms, or did I hear commercial kitchen? Are we going to put a hot kitchen down there?
Vice Mayor, Councilmember Adams, a production kitchen, yes.
So we need a grill, a hood, a ventilation. I have a little bit of knowledge about this. My son is in this business and operates a commercial kitchen, so I know about hoods. So when it comes time to put in the hood and the ventilation system, the fire suppression and all that, obviously you need to vent that up through the space on floor 1. So what does that do to the daily operation of the kitchen when we get ready to do that?
Vice Mayor, Councilmember Adams, Kimber knows this design way better than I do, but I think the short answer is that we've planned for that. The design already takes into account the basement having a production kitchen and needing the venting and all
You
that.
have a shaft in place, so
We
that's...
do.
Yes.
Yes, sir,
Okay.
we do.
Thank you.
You want to finish up and then we can? Sure. Is that all right?
We have a planned completion of construction in October, so it's with that I can say that within 5 short months, the city will have met all of our obligations shown on this slide under the lease. And then, Vice Mayor, with that, we're happy to have...
I was really finishing up?
Yes.
Glad we did that.
We will be back, this will be in front of council on Monday for action. Again, we anticipate completing construction in October, and after a couple months of ramping up and prepping the space, that Kimber will be prepared to start operation of the incubator in January.
Councilmember Taylor, and then I think we have a resident local farmer that might have a comment.
Thank you so much. I was looking at your website and I was trying to understand your milestones. Maybe I missed it, but could you give us all an example of a restaurant that's currently open, operating, and just doing excellent, maybe even 2 that have come from Local First Arizona?
Sure, absolutely. So the first one that comes to mind is Calados Coffee and Crepes. They graduated through our Fuerza Local program, family owned and operated. They have a location in Goodyear, a location in Avondale, and a third one in Central Phoenix. They're a success story in my mind, not only because they have 3 locations, but by the time they went to open their 3rd location, they actually qualified to purchase their own building. So we now have, from our Fuerza Local program, we have 8 companies that are doing greater than 1.5 million in sales, and they came from below the poverty line less than 8 years ago.
Did they start in a food hall like this one?
No, Calados started in a very small suite in Avondale, and they've expanded that site and then added a second and then a third.
Okay.
Another example would be Chilte, which just won a James Beard Award, and they operate on Grand Avenue in downtown Phoenix.
Nice. James Beard's good.
Yeah.
I don't think we can forget maybe the best pizza in downtown at Goat and Ram Pizza as well.
Yeah, Goat and Ram came through our incubator kitchen program, and they operate here in downtown.
And then food, in terms of food halls, would this be similar? I'm trying to imagine what this would look like to kind of what Gilbert has built out over where the Garage East space is. You go into this building, there's a lot of different places where you can eat, you have different options. I know
Yeah.
that's a different look, but I'm thinking conceptually.
Conceptually, it is. There are multiple different food concepts in there. That is a much bigger space, so it's not like as concentrated, and there's a lot more indoor-outdoor space there. But conceptually, with a variety of food, we will not have any retail. They have retail, and they have maker space. But you're right in thinking there will be multiple concepts in one area.
Okay, and is this something that Local First has done for quite some time in terms of this concept of food halls being kind of that next step in the incubator program? I saw a few of them on the milestones.
Yeah, so this will be the first concept like this one. This will be completely unique. In fact, this will be unique in Arizona. There is not another concept like this in Arizona. But our incubator kitchen program, we have 5 of those around the valley, with a 6th one opening in the Garfield neighborhood in Central Phoenix.
Okay.
And each one of those is incubating anywhere from 18 to 24 businesses at a time. And we've been doing that for 8 years.
Okay, thank you. Jeff, this question might be better geared for you. In terms of outdoor, I feel like outdoor eating space is kind of crucial in Arizona while we have 7 months of like absolutely beautiful weather. Are we building out for people? I didn't see that in the concept. Maybe I missed it. Like really nice misters. Okay, that's the little porch area, right?
Vice Mayor, Councilmember Taylor, one of the unique features about this building is that recessed entry. So it actually gives us a really great starting point for outdoor dining because you have some shaded space. Being on the south side of the street, you also get better sun protection. So any addition extension beyond the face of the building with additional patio seating is actually a really good opportunity. It's probably about a 25% increase in total seating over what's inside on the outside as well.
Yeah, there will be nearly 40 available seats outside.
Okay. Will there be is that a pergola overhead? Some sort of, maybe some greenery?
Yes, this is an earlier
Basic concept.
an early rendering, but yes, the space is going to be attractive. And I don't know I don't think we have misters built into it, but
We don't have misters built into it, but there will be greenery. And
I know a guy
we're-
if you want some.
Okay.
And he's out of Mesa. It's not my
Thank
husband.
you.
Throw that out there. It's not my husband.
We're envisioning umbrellas as well, when beyond the overhang, right? Which is it is a deep recessed entry, but we'll have umbrellas.
They're welcoming.
Yes,
Okay, great. Thank you.
of course. Thank you.
Mr. Butler, question, has there been any discussion with your staff about trying to find additional revenue for the build-out, or at least the major mechanicals that would cause the greatest level of disruption?
Well, I think as Jeff, Vice Mayor, as Jeff articulated, the major mechanical is included in the current scope and phase that's being constructed right now. As far as finding additional funds to go ahead and finish out the basement, we've had a whole of about a 30-second conversation as council was discussing this. But if that were to be council's desire, staff could go back. We could have some conversations and see if we could identify those funds, and if so, we could bring. Jeff, would it be an amended contract then to the? I don't know how engineering would.
I might ask Bryce to come up to correct me when I get this wrong, but I believe our contract with the design build contractor would allow us to essentially just add this as a scope addition versus having to amend the contract.
Because contractors love change orders. That's what I heard.
Mark.
Mark Hallstrom, Assistant City Engineer. Mark Hallstrom, Assistant City Engineer. I helped develop the design build contract with our legal staff. We would have to take a look at that, but it's a possibility that we could run another contract under that same selection and be able to negotiate the price and execute a contract with the same contractor. We would have to do a little work to make sure that would fit.
Is there a timeline that they want us to try to do that by? Because, I mean, we have the 8th and council's gone for a while, come back a little in July, we're gone for a while. Or, because I saw we hope to open January of next year, so the timeline's pretty tight, yes?
So Vice Mayor, Council, we have had some conversations because we were looking for grant money, so we had to have the conversation from a timing perspective. There is a narrow window of opportunity to be able to maintain that completion in October and opening in January if we were to build out the basement as well. I mean, not that doesn't mean that those openings and completions can't be pushed off to allow the basement build. I think Kimber would probably be more than happy to open in February if that meant it included the basement as well.
That is true. I think in order to maximize the cost savings with the contractors on site right now, we'd need to tie it together.
Okay. And then, was there something else?
And we could, if that were to be the direction of council, we can work through this with engineering, come up with the timing. If the next July meeting isn't fast enough, we could always do a quick Zoom meeting if we needed to in order to meet any timelines to keep the project on track, if that were to be the direction for the council.
Obviously, that would be the mayor's decision with you. Okay.
So can you just clarify funding on that, though? So we have the ARPA funding covering the first floor and a shell. And we're talking about, it would be cost saving, obviously, to do it all now. What is the funding source?
Yeah, and Mayor and Councilmember Goforth, that's what we would need to
Okay.
go back and look at too. And so we would need to huddle a little bit. This is new. I'm not saying it's a bad direct. Let us just go back and look at what we might have available to make that happen.
But ARPA has covered everything up until.
Yes.
All the buildup up until. And then what do we do for, it looks like we're responsible for major systems and structure, which is typical in a landlord-tenant relationship. And so we just, that will just be a normal contingency, general fund, sort of
Yes.
any other.
Now that Mayor and Councilmember Goforth, now that we've really torn the building down to the studs and rebuilt it, hopefully, the bones are good. And now, since it's going to be a priority to make sure that we're keeping up with our maintenance schedule, we'd like to maintain that building as well moving forward. So the plan is just to be a good landlord and make sure that we're properly maintaining so that we don't have major items that come up anytime in the near term.
And we have rent coming off of it that I assume would be set aside
400.
for improvements, repairs, anything structural. So we'll have the money through the rent to be able to, it won't be an additional cost.
I wonder, I'm sorry. I wonder, can you, Mr. McVeigh, can you bring back the slide that shows, I think you had one that showed the various responsibilities of the two parties?
Is it here?
Okay, here we are. The only question I would ask is, the comment was made that city responsible for major systems and structures. Typically in a triple net lease, that's not the case. I'm not objecting to it, but just for clarification, in a typical triple net lease, the tenant puts the new AC unit on the roof, not the landlord. Anybody argue with that, but that's typically the case. And I'm not arguing, I'm just saying that let's point that out and realize that that's what we're assuming because we're trying to accomplish something here with a not-for-profit, that we're making that concession where normally triple net, if your AC goes out or something else goes out, that's on the tenant. We're reversing that situation.
I guess my thought would be too, is in addition to being a nonprofit, this is also an incubator. And so we're kind of putting a little bit of our own investment into it to help small businesses grow.
Yeah, we're
and it's going to be a brand new AC. So the likelihood that this breaks is pretty, of course, now that I've said it.
Yeah.
Right. Again, I'm not objecting to it, just pointing out the fact that it's not the norm in a triple net or a commercial lease.
I agree with your point.
Vice Mayor, Council, just to reiterate, it's been said, but even though this is an old building, when we're done, it will essentially be a new building. It's a new roof. All structural issues have been addressed. All the mechanical systems, electric, plumbing, heating and cooling, those are all new. The air conditioners are new. We worked with our facilities department because in the end, the maintenance is going to fall on them to make sure that they were comfortable that $10,000 per year in rent would be sufficient to cover any of anticipated normal maintenance costs. And they're thinking, just from a maintenance perspective, up to $5,000 per year for normal maintenance. So that would leave the ability, for the first several years, we would be creating a reserve and replacement fund. So by the time we get to 10, 15 years down the road where major systems may need work, there should be a sufficient amount of rent reserved to be able to offset those costs so that it isn't becoming a hit
Will
to the
our
general.
maintenance folks in-house be maintaining this?
In ours?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There is a possibility that it would be our facilities folks, but what this fund
It'd still
actually...
be an enterprise.
Right. But what this fund really provides is the opportunity for them to use on-call services. If something happens, this is a commercial space, and something could happen off hours. So to be able to have somebody that they can just use from their contract and be able to send out a plumber or something like that, this gives them the ability.
The fire alarm battery always chirps at 2 in the morning. Yeah.
Well, I'm a little confused, because you're using maintenance interchangeably between the two entities, and on here, it says Local First is responsible for maintenance, and we are responsible for major systems and structure.
Right.
So when you say maintenance, that we're going to do maintenance.
No,
on
I'm sorry. Vice Mayor, Councilmember Goforth, Local First is going to be operating this space. It is their space. If the air filter needs to be replaced, they're replacing an air filter. If the floors need to be cleaned, they're cleaning the floors. If the kitchen equipment breaks, they're fixing the kitchen equipment. Now, if the air conditioner just completely fails, that is a major system that the city then would have a responsibility for. From a plumbing perspective, we are responsible for everything to the building and the pipes in the wall. Once it gets to a faucet, that's on Local First. So it is really about the major systems that the city is taking responsibility for.
Thank you.
I know we have an initial term of 10 years of Local First. I have to ask the ugly question, though. If you guys have to back out and we just have this space, what is our backup plan to continue to make an income off of it? And now we've built it out for a very niche idea. Have you had a discussion about what ifs and how we will handle that? Because realistically, that does happen.
Vice Mayor, Councilmember Taylor, we have not, discussed that because we fully anticipate the Local First will be with us for 25 years. But I will say that that food halls are, as you noted in Gilbert, they're fairly common across the country, and they are popular. I do believe that if this space ever became available, that the city would be able to market it to a private operator or potentially another nonprofit that would want to continue this type of programming. But this would be an attractive space. When this is complete and we invite you to the ribbon cutting, this is a very nice space that would be attractive to a private user as well. And we've had discussions with potential food hall developers in the past that transitioned to our conversation with. Actually, this conversation started with Local First talking with a private developer about doing a food hall.
Yeah. To close out, Mr. Butler, did you find the money?
We do have some options. Let us scrub those down a little bit because speaking off the cuff right here is dangerous for everybody. But Mr. McVeigh actually has a project that's going to be coming forward that has a one-time payout to the city that could be reinvested into something like this. So it would be another economic development purpose going back into an economic development purpose. So that might be an option. There's some other. We need to scrub down some of our remaining ARPA interest funds. Part of those were committed to the Off the Streets program by the council's direction the other day to continue with the Windermere using federal funds. So we just want to see what that balance is and scrub that down a little bit before we tell you definitively. But there's a couple of buckets that we're looking at right now that we think are one-time dollars that could be utilized to finish this build out. So
And that conversation has to happen about what the alternatives are as well. But this sounds like a great program. I think there's interest in seeing it built out. It's more cost effective to do it up front. That's great for you to surprise the city manager with that request. We'll see how
I feel like I was set up this morning.
Let's see how your next conversation with him goes.
How did that?
Fortunately, he's a friendly sort. I got to say, this really does interest me. I'd love to see one out on the east side, in my district mostly. But when I retired, one of my fellow firefighters, she retired about the same time. She's moved into the baking field, and she's at this transition between baking it at her home and now needing some kind of a commercial kitchen in her LLC and a license. Baking.
What does that have to do with a food hall?
Well, they do have a bank vault still in there, but no baking, like baked goods. Or maybe my wife my wife could use this too.
Vice Mayor Summers will do all we can to make sure that some of these businesses springboard into your district.
I actually already sent it to her. If you're interested, you should do this. So I think it's a great program. I'm very interested, and you're making me hungry because I skipped breakfast, and I should not do that.
I'd like to add on.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I build upon that? Is that what I love about it is we're creating these local, unique experiences, which we know have been the success of downtown. and being able to generate these new businesses that go anywhere in Mesa. And we're all craving those local places across the city. And I'm really concerned about downtown because it is our tagline. It is why people are coming here and driving from a long distance, are all these uniquely local places and experiences. But we know over time, as downtown continues to grow and more investment, for a small entrepreneur to get a start in downtown Mesa is going to be difficult, just because the cost per square foot is really, really hard. And when it comes to food, there's a high, like you said, a high rate of failure. But it's really hard for those people to find small spaces. You have to really be sure-footed. And this is a way for us to get them to a point that they can launch and go into that higher dollar per square foot, because we're not going to be the cheapest place in town as we look into the future. And so we're keeping that uniquely local experience in downtown as we grow, become more expensive on the rates here. So it's a way to keep that vibe in downtown, which has been very successful for us.
Vice Mayor Summers, Councilmember Duff, if I could just make one comment there. In meeting with the owner of the theater next door, she told us that one of the biggest complaints she hears is there's not enough fast casual in the downtown area, that people have to sit down and get waited on in more of a dining establishment. And so we do think we're complementing what's already here, and we're going to be very thoughtful about the selections as well, because we want all of the small businesses to be successful. But I think it's just really critically important to understand that we're bringing a unique thing that's going to benefit the people who are already coming down for the wonderful amenities that you already have.
Do you want to close out?
I will. And I just also want to say thank you to Kimber and Local First and everything you do in Arizona. You do an amazing job, and I'm glad that you're here and expanding what you do in the city of Mesa.
Thank you.
I wasn't on the council when this was first agreed to for the ARPA dollars, but I think it was a fantastic, a brilliant idea and use of those funds. So
Thank you.
I give
excited.
Jeff the credit for
Good
that.
job, Jeff.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
I have a feeling we're going to see you. Oh, Mayor.
Yes, from the
Voice
sky.
in the sky.
Okay. Hey, I really appreciate moving forward to build out the basement. I think it's necessary once the construction starts. So if Mr. Alstrom and his team can find a way, work with legal to do that, and then Mr. Butler and his team find the finances to do that. I'm thinking even broader than that. You know, we have EVIT down the road. We have students in their culinary program that may want to be engaged in some type and see if they're, want to be a chef or something. And I value that. More importantly, too, being proactive like this and providing more food options for people to come downtown. And then we have ASU Mix and other programming from ASU coming in the future. So this catalyst will be essential to look at, again, building out the restaurant, doing the right things, and more importantly, the city of Mesa, all of us are owners of this property so that we can make sure it continues the tradition it has been as a market and the Wright's supermarket back in the day and moving forward. So with that, yes, great conversation, and thank you.
All right. You have your direction. Good luck. Good luck finding some extra funds. And from that, we'll move on to item 2B. So we're going from small business incubation to international global trade, right?
Look at the diversity of
Look at we're booking and ending this one. So we're going to hear a presentation and discuss an overview of the U.S. Foreign Trade Zone Program and Operator Agreement for MGC America Incorporated.
Vice
Jay,
Mayor.
that was a tough act to follow.
Thank you for the introduction. Vice Mayor, Mayor, members of council, Jay O'Donnell, City of Mesa Economic Development Director, and joining me today is Chris Molnar. She is our Economic Development Administrator in our department. And as Vice Mayor said, we're here to share with you an overview of the U.S. Foreign Trade Zone Program. And then at the end, we'll talk about the operator agreement for MGC Pure that's on the agenda for council meeting Monday. So the FTZ program, oh, sorry, yes, thank you. I'm going fast.
Scott appreciates
I know, he was looking at his watch.
That darn technology. Well, it also has messages.
There we go.
PowerPoint is in
Sorry about that.
2026. It's like,
So the FTZ program and the proposed action is not a special tax giveaway, just to clarify. It's not a direct subsidy from the city of Mesa to companies. The FTZ is a longstanding federal program that's available to many companies who have to qualify. This is a program that is a national program across the country, regardless of size of company. Arizona is currently home to 7 activated foreign trade zones. 3 of them are located in the greater Phoenix area. One is in Nogales, Phoenix, Sierra Vista, Pima County, Yuma, Mesa, of course, and then Maricopa County, which is known as the Greater Maricopa, FTZ, Glendale. So that is the 7. It is a federally authorized program, as I mentioned. The purpose is really to encourage companies to manufacture, assemble, and invest in the United States instead of moving these operations outside of the country. Many products today are made from parts and materials that come from multiple countries, and without an FTZ, companies can end up paying customs duties that are multiple times, paying custom duties multiple times as products move through different stages of the manufacturing and distribution process. So
I think that's an important point because there are some raw materials that cannot be mined here or produced here, so they have to be imported. And that's where what would normally be maybe a foreign job, the opportunity to bring that back to the U.S. for U.S.-based jobs is critical to why this program exists.
Correct.
Do you agree?
Yep. Absolutely. So without an FTZ, or excuse me, the program helps simplify that process and presents the unnecessary double taxation on imported components that are used in US-based production and manufacturing. So FTZs help make it more competitive for companies to keep that manufacturing, the logistics and technology operations in communities like Mesa, other than relocating them internationally. The city has administered a citywide FTZ program for years. We just have had not too many companies participate in the program. But again, it goes from smaller businesses to large international employers. You do have to qualify for the program, and they have to meet the federal requirements to get the benefit. It's also important to note that FTZ benefits are governed by federal law, and the oversight is through a federal board as well as U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Companies operating within a foreign trade zone still pay local property taxes, utility costs, development fees, and other applicable fees and taxes. The city's role is really to support the economic development opportunities that bring investment, jobs, and long-term economic activity to Mesa while administering the program in accordance with federal law. I'm going to turn it over to Chris now, who is a certified zone specialist through the NAFTZ, and she serves as our zone administrator for the city of Mesa, and it's FTZ 221. That's Mesa's foreign trade zone. Chris?
Thank you, Jay. I just wanted to give a little bit of history of Foreign Trade Zone number 221 that we oversee. It was established originally in April of 1997 under FTZ Board Order 883. That granted us the authority to establish this zone in what was then the Williams Gateway Airport. With just a little over 3,000 acres. And the justification for that proposed FTZ was that it offered distinct advantages and catered to different and unique market needs and conditions than what were present in Foreign Trade Zone 75 in Phoenix, allowing us to increase our international trade in Mesa, facilitate high-tech and aerospace-related development, and offering large-scale development opportunities with an abundance of, at the time, available vacant property around the airport. In January of 2008, The city submitted an application for authority to reorganize the zone at the existing airport site, adding acreage to at the south side of the airport in that blue area on the map that you see on this slide, and removing a center area of the airport, including terminals, landing strips, and taxiways that were not eligible for FTZ activity. So that reduced the overall site of the FTZ to just over 2,000 acres, which is our current magnet site. So the inlay map that you'll see on this slide is what we consider our magnet site. And the FTZ board identifies that as a concentrated zone. So it still has the original intent of bringing in those unique tech and aerospace opportunities for FTZ activity. In July of 2002, we went through another reorganization to expand our FTZ within our entire Mesa City boundaries under a new framework called the Alternative Site Framework.
I'm sorry, did you say in July of 2002 or 2022?
22.
Okay.
July of 22.
Got it, okay.
Yes, my apologies. So when the Alternative Site Framework came about, it offered an opportunity with the reorganization to make this transition at the same time. The ASF allows for a simplified, faster process by submitting minor boundary modification applications with a much shorter time frame, where you could be looking at, under normal circumstances, a 30 to 45 day review and approval period for those applications, as opposed to the previous traditional site framework that took months to be able to get these businesses up and moving and taking advantage of the benefits of the FTZ status much quicker. So we currently have 2 activated FTZ sites in Mesa. Today we'll be reviewing briefly another one with MGC Pure, and we have some other upcoming applications in process that will be coming to council in the near future. So eligible activities, merchandise in a zone can be assembled, exhibited, cleaned. As you can see up here, a lot of different activities can occur. There is an additional step for production activity. So if a business is going to be doing that in addition to those other activities listed above, they do have to go through an additional notification and approval process to do that after the FTZ board approves their original application, before they can work in that status and submit any goods into U.S. commerce. Retail trade is not allowed in FTZ zones. So.
Sorry, can I interrupt?
Yes, of course.
Despite the vice mayor wanting to stick to what he calls the most important area of the city, I would like to ask about Falcon. Do we not have any businesses in Falcon that have applied or operate?
Vice Mayor, Mayor, and Council Member Goforth, we don't currently. However, I think as this program becomes a little more popular, you'll see more applications. But with the alternative site framework, we can go all over the city.
Would you think that those companies know about this? It's not that they wouldn't.
Many of them do,
Yeah.
and we're going to talk a little bit about the
Okay.
process, because this is a program that is not for the faint of heart, and you have to have a lot of export and import activity for it to really make it worthwhile to apply.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Quick question, if I may. Jay, help me remember when we worked on the Falcon Visioning Commission. At that time, the Falcon area was not subject to this, or was it?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Councilmember Adams, I don't believe it was in the alternative site framework at the time.
Yeah.
We would have had to go through a special process to do that, but now it's
But it
the
is
entire
now.
city. Yes, the entire city of Mesa boundary is considered within the foreign trade zone.
It's been a while now, probably a little over 10 years, but it seems to me that throughout all those discussions, it would have been a great thing for the economic development of Falcon area, Falcon Field and the surrounding area, if we had this opportunity then. So I just want to clarify that. but I think it's a great opportunity to attract a higher level of business operator
Very good
to the
point.
Falcon area.
Yep. All right.
Next one. Okay, so FTZs are especially valuable for companies that obviously are exporting finished goods from the FTZ site. They're assembling products using imported components, managing a high volume of international trade, or they're building and expanding their U.S. manufacturing and/or distribution sites, or looking to optimize their supply chain footprint, which is what we're seeing a lot more in the recent activity. There are some additional benefits. Efficiency, so being part of an FTZ and having that designation allows businesses to streamline their customs procedures and logistics. It removes some of that administrative burden, allowing our businesses to focus on operations, growth, and innovation. Financial flexibility, duty deferrals and exemptions in some cases until goods enter U.S. commerce, aligning costs with production and sales cycles, also improves their cash flow, which helps them grow here in Mesa. Global competitiveness, Jay talked about this a little bit, but lowering these operational costs increases their agility, helping our US-based companies compete more effectively in global markets. So what we're seeing is while any company involved in international trade can benefit from this program, there are certain sectors specifically that find FTZs especially impactful. Life sciences and pharmaceuticals, automotive and components, consumer electronics is a big one, heavy machinery and equipment, and oil, gas, and petrochemicals are the big players. So just to give a very simple real-world example, imagine if we have a tech company who imports various microchips, parts, components, boards from overseas suppliers. They're putting those electronic components, they're receiving them into the FTZ, they are sorting them, they're testing them, they're assembling them into a larger product, finished product within the zone. Some of those units may be re-exported, could be duty-free. Others may be sold domestically at a reduced duty rate into U.S. commerce. So because oftentimes, depending on how those products are brought into the FTZ, the finished product may have a lower duty rate than the sum of the individual components themselves. So what that's doing is it's improving margins for those companies. They're able to do better inventory forecasting because inventory control is a major component of CBP's oversight of these locations and gives them a stronger competitive edge.
I think it would be fair to say reduce costs for consumers at the end because it's not getting double taxed or taxed multiple times, is it?
That would be the hope, absolutely.
So
Yeah,
I
and
guess
you're-
I'm just shocked that we don't have any, I mean, I know some of the manufacturing that goes on near Falcon. Is it because maybe they have other sites where the components are imported in? How would that?
Possibly.
A lot of defense industry though around Falcon Field and they may not
Absolutely.
sell to foreign.
Well, their parts are a lot, several of them are foreign made.
Yeah, do they
So-
import directly, or does their headquarters import them?
That's what I'm asking, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I would assume that.
And Jay, Chris, I also think that some of the suppliers and assemblers for national defense-oriented activities are taken care of under other provisions of law, right? And they don't have to, and that's not privy to the FTZ. That's taken care of through defense acts and other things like that that give Boeing or other suppliers to Boeing or others those provisions. So you're talking about non-defense sector for the most part. And as Chris said, she said help on the margins, but realistically, a lot of this, let's face it, everything she described could be done cheaper outside of the United States, right? And this is a way to try to level the playing field a little bit, that final assembly and some of the things that could be done cheaper in Mexico or in another part of the world could actually be done by American workers here in the United States. And that's just to try to offset some of those higher wage and other costs that come with doing that here in the United States.
So there is one additional user benefit that cannot be a primary focus, but there are a couple of other states in addition to Arizona that in 91 approved a lower assessment rate for activated FTZ sites from a Class 1 property to a Class C. Or Class 6, Class C. Class 6 property. So it does allow for a property tax benefit. The property owner must submit after activation, so that's once they've been approved by the FTZ board, and we'll talk about that when we go through the process. But they have to submit a written request or application to the county assessor to obtain that reclassification.
And Chris, as came up during the Apple discussion, it's only a portion of the property that's actively involved in FTZ activity. So if it's part of a larger facility that may not have FTZ related activities, it's only that portion of the property that is related and eligible that would have that reclassification.
Correct.
Great point. Thank you. Okay, so Vice Mayor, Council, as we wrap up, I do want to underscore the larger public benefit of FTZs. Obviously, the primary benefits are for the companies, but the communities also receive significant benefit in support of the U.S. economy as well as the local community, particularly in Arizona. We do not have a lot of incentive programs to offer businesses, and so this does come into play quite often, at least in terms of the discussion, to let them know that this is one benefit that they can take advantage of. So we do, while it's not heavily utilized, we do value this program greatly. And it obviously creates jobs, it helps retain jobs. You'll hear about the user today. They're adding jobs because they're implementing additional manufacturing and the FTZ. So it leads to economic growth and investment. There's the environmental and economic efficiency. So processed goods that are closer to the market reduce transportation costs as well as emissions. Government oversight and public interest. Again, all of these activities are subject to public interest review, and they remain under the jurisdiction of local, state, and federal authorities. I will turn it back over to Chris to cover the roles and the application process briefly, and then we'll talk about the current applicant.
So just a quick look at the players in this process. Jay had already mentioned the Foreign Trade Zones Board. They are the overseeing granting authority. They also facilitate the required congressional reporting on an annual basis based on FTZ activity. Our partners in the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Office, we have a very strong partnership with our Assistant Port Director and his inspectors, and they are involved in our review process to ensure that any red flags, any questions that they might have up front are already addressed and discussed with CBP at the table before we even submit an application, so that we can more strongly ensure the success of our businesses in applying for this program. The most important one, I think, at least for us, is the zone grantees. So City of Mesa is the grantee of Foreign Trade Zone 221, and that's administered from our Office of Economic Development. So it is our responsibility to help facilitate a smooth application process, and all of the partners in this at every stage of the process, ensuring local treatment to all of our applicants and users, and again, that coordination with CBP. And then we have the zone operators or users. Those are our private businesses that are applying to be in the program, that are responsible for their daily FTZ operations, making sure that they are compliant with CBP regulations, inventory control, security, and all of the components of that federal requirement. There are some other players that operators and users may utilize. Most will have an FTZ consultant to help them, especially in the research and inquiry stages up front, to make sure that they will be able to realistically realize the benefits of an FTZ program up front, so that they understand what they are getting into, because this is an ongoing process. It's not that they apply and then they're good to go, they can operate as normal. It's a day-to-day and week-to-week requirement with additional resources and costs required. So as you can see, there are a lot of steps in this process. I'm not going to go through every single one, but.
No, you're not.
But I got your signal earlier, Vice Mayor. This is a lengthy and arduous process, and there are upfront costs that a business has to work with, and they have to have ongoing resources to manage this. It's not managed by CBP. It's not managed by other players. They have to have trained staff to make sure that they are compliant in every step of their operations. So it's a lot that they have to go through. So it's not for everybody. Some will utilize a third party to manage that day-to-day operation and reporting from because they don't want the responsibility on a day-to-day basis, or it may be more cost-effective for them based on their operations.
You said this has an enormous amount of exporting happening, right? Like that's one of the qualifiers. Is there just?
It's typically for high volume.
Yeah, it's not like I make stickers and I'm
Correct.
popping them out to China or something.
Correct. So I have a pause here. If there are any questions on the program itself, and then we just have a couple quick slides on our applicant that's on Monday's agenda.
Any questions on the FTZ overview? Mayor?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Excellent. All right. So our latest applicant,
Yes.
we're racking them up, stacking them up.
MGC Pure, yes, well, and that's indicative of what's happening in the economy, and the instability of tariffs right now is increasing inquiries into this program. So we're anticipating that's going to continue for a while. MGC is one of those. They've been working on their application for a while. They were recently approved by the FTZ board. They were actually a pretty easy and smooth applicant. They have current square footage at their existing buildings for a 26-acre site east of Signal Butte on Pecos. They have just over 66,000 square feet now, with over 57,000 in future planned buildings on this site. So they are expecting to expand and grow as they utilize the benefits of this program. So they've been in Mesa since 1995, so they've been here a very long time. And they're hoping that being able to utilize this program as they're continuing to grow is going to help facilitate that with their reduced costs and their streamlined operations. Our Mesa location serves as the headquarters and primary manufacturing plant for their company's North American operations, which is a huge story for our program. They're a subsidiary of Japan-based Mitsubishi Gas Chemical Company, but again, this is their North American headquarters. So, and they're conducting various activities, but primarily it is part of that semiconductor supply chain. They are manufacturing ultra-pure chemicals that are critical to the semiconductor industry, with facilities in Oregon, Texas, and their headquarters here in Arizona. So this will hopefully allow them to mitigate tariffs while they grow. They will be submitting that second step based on their operation for a production notification through Customs and Border Protection. And this is just a quick map of the site that they submitted with their application, and you can see the existing building sites that they're hoping to get up under the FTZ designation and activated soon with that additional area for growth and the additional 57,000 square feet.
Jay, is this at the end of the Pirate rail line? Are they connecting to that?
Vice Mayor, yes, it is.
So they're really expanding and supporting the growth of the microchip. It's my understanding, my son's in this business a bit, and he says it's the chemicals that if we're going to make advances in making smaller and smaller and faster, more efficient chips, that it's the purity of the chemicals that really is what the base of this.
Yeah, Vice Mayor, yeah, we're excited about this. This is, the mayor had the opportunity to meet with the CEO of Mitsubishi directly in Tokyo last year, and this was one of the things that was important for their continued expansion here. I mean, as was alluded to, they've been in Mesa for decades and have kind of kept quiet and stayed over in the middle of nowhere at the time of Southeast Mesa, which is not the case anymore. And the fact that they're choosing to expand and invest, and right as that's timed with TSMC and Intel and the whole semiconductor supply chain, is a great testament to these foreign direct investment and international major conglomerates like Mitsubishi investing in Mesa. So this is a great story to tell, and appreciate Jay and Chris and their whole team, because this is something that their CEO talked directly about the importance of.
They may have mentioned it, and forgive me if you did. How many employees now and how many employees do they anticipate after this?
Vice Mayor, Councilmember Adams, I think they have 150, but they're going to be adding 100 with this expansion.
Great. I mean, that's the kind of, these are the kind of jobs that weeve chased for years.
Yeah. High wage, high quality jobs. Yes,
absolutely, sir. Tech sector. The only problem I see with this is it's in D6. I mean,
what about Falcon?
We have a hit list now that we'll be going after.
Marcia. Anything else from the gallery on this item, Mayor?
No, sir.
Outstanding. Well,
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the work, and hopefully we see more. I understand we're going to see some more of these applications come in, and we appreciate the overview.
We have more in the pipeline, yes, sir.
I love it. She said a couple.
A couple right now.
She keeps it secret. She's very. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
If nothing else, item number 3 is to acknowledge receipt of minutes of various boards and committees. I have a motion by Councilmember Duff, a second by Councilmember Taylor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Item number 4, current event summary of meetings and conferences attended. Anyone like to? Anyone?
Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Sure. Well, we have a new addition in downtown, Blue Corn Cafe. It's at 19 West Main Street. That's just on the other side of Nunthaborn. They had their grand opening celebration, I think it was on Tuesday. They have wonderful sourdough, all kinds of muffins and desserts and cupcakes, and many things that you will load up a bag and take it home. And they, Blue Corn Cafe. They actually have a couple of locations over in Glendale, and so they're opening a location here. And they're actually going to, maybe in the fall, do a jazz brunch. Chris, the owner, is very much into music and a jazz player himself.
Do they have coffee? Are they coffee?
Yeah, they have all kinds of coffees. And
They have
lemonade and Italian sodas and iced tea and all kinds of stuff. And jazz. And sandwiches. They have some sandwiches, breakfast sandwiches.
Now I'm going to have to go back and look at and see if I said banking by mistake. Senior moment or something.
Yeah, so to get started, they're doing 10 to 2 every day except Monday. They're closed, and they might be adjusting those hours as they figure out, what the best time is to be open to capture. I mean, they're had conversations about, there's a lot of employees that start early. I'm like, yeah. So, it may adjust. And yesterday, I went to the main library for a summer reading kickoff, and we had dinosaurs galore and little hound things and all kinds of art to kick off the reading program. I handed out some little vouchers to increase their points. It was lots of fun, a good turnout. Last night I went to the Arizona Museum for Natural History for their Arizona Through Time speaker series. So about once a month they bring in, very smart people. Last night the talk was about Arizona, like 245 million years ago, and looking at the reptiles and amphibians and mammals that existed at that time based on archaeology. Findings, fossils throughout our state where they were found, and anticipating maybe what they look like through AI based on the information they had. It was fast-paced. He covered a lot. He did 245, dipped down to 235 million years ago, and that's all the time we had to. It's a really great series. There's another one, I think, on July 17th. Don't quote me on that date, but another one coming up in July. And that's part of the After Hours program at the Natural History Museum. After Dark series. And it is June, so happy Pride Month. There's celebrations from a number of organizations and people and events. So I just wanted to recognize our respect and excitement for celebrating all of our people and be inclusive in our city. Thank you.
Mr. Adams, anything?
No, sir.
To my right?
Yes, Jen, I too attended the summer reading kickoff in Mesa at the Red Mountain Branch Library, and it was a lot of fun. It was a great turnout.
Did you do
Lots
dinosaurs?
of kids. They did dinosaurs, yes.
I learned about dinosaurs.
Those were a hit. The dinosaur puppets, lots of, I know. I did ask one little girl about, did she love to read, and she did inform me she does not read yet. So I'm, I guess, beyond my kids. I should have recognized how old she was and that she wasn't reading. So that was a little bit of a faux pas, but all the kids had a good time, so thank you.
Councilmember Taylor?
Thanks. I just wanted to share with the public, I toured the Mesa Arts Center and I had not been to the studios yet. And so if you are looking for an amazing opportunity to take an art course in glass blowing, which was pretty incredible, ceramics, painting, illustration, I just was so impressed by the various artists that had their work on display in the studio section. We toured the theaters, of course, and I've been to the Akita Theater, which is just like mind-blowing acoustics. I can't wait for Boss Gags to come. I'm really excited. But yeah, I didn't know that we had such incredible classes available at the studios. And so to take some time and walk through them and find out, when they're available. The summer sessions, I know for some of them are already full. They fill up really quickly. They started on June 8th and June 9th, but keep your eyes on the Mesa Arts Center Studios site. They will let you know as soon as the next sessions are available. And if you're interested, book quickly because apparently it books out within like an hour. So I was just excited to see that. I think it's a great way for people to come in and have an opportunity to improve their skills. And they said they even have one woman who drives once a week from Flagstaff to take her courses there because we are the only center in all of Arizona that offers this type of coursework. So I just thought that was pretty impressive that it's right here in the downtown Mesa area. Okay, thanks, that's all.
I'll just add one. I'm going to give a shout out to Sally Harrison at the Mesa Chamber and the Mesa Chamber's Board of Directors as a board building event. We went to the United Food Bank and packaged 1,870 emergency food bags, which helps about that many families. So if anybody wants to do it, the United Food Bank has it down. You walk in, you grab a bag, and you just walk this circle, filling the bags with goods, and then you hand it off to someone who puts it in the crate. They do a timer, and when you fill the whole crate, I think it's 80 bags per crate, they ring a bell, and you will get your steps in. Have you done it?
Did Sally lap you?
Usually
does.
She usually does. Yeah, I keep getting in the slower lines, but Sally lapped me a couple of times. It was great.
The last time I did that, she lapped the group 3 times.
She is enthusiastic. All right. Mr. Butler, I think we have one more meeting.
Yes, Mayor, Vice Mayor and Council, Councilmember Goforth compared it to, we're like kids on the last week of school, just ready to get to summer break. So one more hard exam. No, Monday we'll welcome you back 3 o'clock first for the Economic Development Committee. For those of you who participate in that, that's a 3 p.m. start on Monday, and then followed by study session at 5:15, and our last council meeting before the summer break will follow immediately after that. So, Mayor, Vice Mayor, just a couple of things to highlight again. I know I mentioned these before, but this weekend, skate party at the plaza. Bring your own roller skates, but there'll be food trucks. The movie screen will be going, so come and enjoy a nice evening here at the plaza. And then the Falcon Field cockpit close-up is Saturday morning from 8 a.m.
And
to
I
10 a.m.
will be there, so if you want to come.
What, Councilmember Goforth will be there. That's another great addition to the airplane. So come and spend some time there on Saturday morning. So thank you very much.
Very good. And I know that we already have a motion to adjourn by Councilmember Taylor and a second by Councilmember Goforth. Mayor, do you have anything to add before we make our final vote to walk out?
Amen.
I just want to add, check the Mesa Parks and Recreation homepage. There's all kinds, beyond the skate party, there's other activities throughout the city, and check them out. There's a lot going on. They're starting Saturday, so don't miss it.
Very good. All in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. Hearing no no's, we are adjourned.